Kia Potts is a highly intelligent, loving young woman who celebrates life through ministry and holistic wellness. She is a fitness coach, author, ghostwriter, soon to be publisher, evangelist, and youth pastor. Her desire to be pleasing in the sight of God led her on a path of excellence in ministry and business. She is the host of a successful weekly podcast entitled Sexless in the City, as she lends support to single believers on how to maintain a posture of purity while they await God's intended match for their lives. Her creative mind and heart for people also led her to author Naked and Not Ashamed, where she shares her stories of triumph over personal struggles. She has an ever-ready smile, the heart of a servant, and the mind of a need meter. It is a great delight to celebrate this titan in business and service today. Good day, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Business Acumen with Cross Cultural Talks. I am your host, Robinette Cross, and today we have with us a very special guest, someone who's dear to my heart, Miss Kia Potts. Kia is, hey Kia, go ahead, tell everybody hey.
Hey everybody.
So Kia is really just a miraculous young woman. She is an author, she is a fitness expert, she is an evangelist, she is a true woman after God's heart. And so I've asked Kia to come on the show today to share some of her tips and tools with us. So Kia, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really happy that you were able to make it, especially on the day of your birthday party. Everybody, Kia is a leap year baby.
Yes.
So she has 2 days, right?
2 days. When leap year isn't here. So February 28th and March 1st.
2 days.
Yeah.
I know that must be so nice.
February. If I could celebrate the whole month, that would be great.
Really? Like, you'd be 2 months, wouldn't you? Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Let's just make it a whole season of joy.
Amen.
Season of Kia. All right, kids. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you went to school, what you did after, and really what got you into all of the different things that you're doing now.
Okay. So I'm from Richmond, Virginia, born and raised. Whoop whoop. I went to Henrico High School, and then after that, I went to VCU. So I've been in Richmond all my life. I graduated from VCU, went on to get my master's degree, and now, what was the other question? Sorry.
That's okay. What do you do now? What are all the things that you
Wow. Okay. So to God be the glory. Right now, I'm wearing many hats. So I'm a youth pastor, evangelist, author. I'm starting my publishing company, and I teach Zumba. I write, ghostwrite. So I'm wearing a lot of hats these days.
That's great. What made you want to do any or all of those things?
So the Zumba, I always wanted to somehow dance and incorporate fitness. So Zumba was perfect for me. When I found out about it, I said, I'm doing it. And then with the health and wellness coaching, it kind of inspired me because I had my own journey with weight loss and overcoming obstacles. And when I say health and wellness coaching, I'm not just talking about physical, spiritual, mental, emotional. And so in the book, I talk about all of that, but it's kind of like my journey of overcoming so many health challenges, not just physical, but all those that I mentioned. And so I said, hey, other people need this too. So that inspired me to do that. And as far as the evangelist and being a youth pastor, that was not in my plan. So that is divine inspiration. I just said yes, and then God did the rest. So yeah, that's what inspired me.
That's awesome. I know this is not a part of the set of questions that I sent you, but you recently went to, was it South America on a missionary trip?
Yes, I went to Honduras.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what you did there.
Honduras was amazing. It was like heaven on earth.
Oh.
The people, they were just so hungry for God. Like, it's not like here where we have so many resources and we're spoiled.
Yes.
But they most of them, they don't even have shoes. They don't have like little luxuries like candy. The kids go crazy over bubbles, jump ropes. But everybody, from the little kids to the adults, they were just so hungry for God. And over there, we did a lot of ministering. We also kind of poured into the youth. We had like a game day for them. We were in the city, so we weren't in like the jungles of Honduras or the rural parts. We were in the city, which, by the way, Honduras at the time probably still was the #1 murder capital in the world.
It still is. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we were in the city. Did a lot of ministering, praying, and one of the most amazing things I experienced there, and everybody with me, they didn't speak a lick of English. But when we would pray for them, it was like the Spirit bear witness with the Spirit, and they were just crying. I mean, falling out, and it's like you don't even know what we're saying, but it was, what I'm saying, the Spirit made intercession. It was just amazing. It was just wow.
That is so good.
Yeah.
So, what is the church to which you belong that really began to pull on those gifts?
Liberation Church. It's here in Richmond, Virginia. We recently moved to 5200 Midlothian Turnpike.
Okay.
And so their pastors, Jay and Ashley Patrick, when I went there, when I first went there, it was like, God was like, you're home. And, I didn't grow up in church. I was in and out of church. Never, like I said, this was not in the plan. But just being there, and they have a way of pulling stuff out of you without being forceful. So I think just being under good leadership and just being at the right place, and a place where where you have that freedom, Liberation Church, how can you not feel free? And so with that and just being obedient, it's like everything else began to prosper.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Everything else begins to prosper.
Yeah.
Really, and it's like you start to see not just exponential blessings, but you can see the magnitude of the calling on your life.
Yeah.
And the work that you still have to do. And sometimes it's intimidating, but you get divine stamina to complete your tasks. So what is it that you really want to have in terms of your imprint on the community, whether that's the city of Richmond or the Commonwealth, the nation, globally? What do you want for people to remember when they speak the name Kia Potts?
Right. Well, it's not about me. God, I'm just the vessel God uses, but I hope when they see me, they see, the love of Christ, and they see, there is hope. They look at my story and see that you don't have to be from the greatest of backgrounds to be something. You don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And also, as far as the community, I really want to make a difference as far as the youth, especially, whether it's locally, globally, and especially teenage girls. So that's really kind of like my heart. But overall, just letting people know that, you don't have to be where you are right now. You have purpose. You don't have to settle for anything less than what God has for you. And to know that you do not have to be bound. You can be free.
You can be free. You can be free. And I know that you are working on several different projects now, but why don't you tell us a little bit about not just the projects, but what brought you to those projects? Okay,
so let me start first with the most recent project is the book, the memoir that I wrote, Naked and Not Ashamed. And it took about 4 years to write. And I always say, not because I'm a slow writer, amen, but it's some things, first of all, it's not easy to write about experiences that you had to go through.
Right.
And then second of all, some things I had to experience before I could even write the book.
Right.
So what inspired me was basically, you know, just talking to people and coming to contact with people and sharing part of my testimony with them, and they were going through the same thing and it helped them. And I said, well, man, I gotta put this down so it can reach more people. And I just got divine confirmation after divine confirmation. I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna do it. So that's the most recent. And then we have the Facebook Live show that I do called Sexless in the City. And what inspired that is, well, once I rededicated my life to Christ, you know, in the past I had struggled with, you know, fornication, and that was really kind of like a hindrance between my relationship with Christ. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to struggle with that anymore. And so once I joined the church, I was like, you know, I'm all in. Like, mm-hmm. And so I've been on this journey now for about 5 years, and I realized that not everyone is strong enough spiritually, and they just don't have the right practical tools to sustain that. And so I thought, well, I could do a show that talks about it, and helps people and helps women, not just women, but men too, who are living this life. And so and it's been great, and just, you know, showcase that you can do it. There are people that have done it, and there are people that's still doing it.
To spread the word, to build the community, to let people know you're not alone.
Yeah, it's like a support, kind of like a support group / show that's entertaining and funny, and like, you know, you can do it. Like,
you can do it. Yeah.
Everybody's not doing it, but you can do it.
Yeah, that's so very true. Yeah. That's so very true, because we're presented with the imagery that we have is that everyone's fornicating, and that's not really, that's the world's interpretation, but that's not God's plan for your life. And so I applaud you for encouraging a return back to godly nature. Because we were created, we're brides of Christ. And so, you know, even the Bible says, do not commit spiritual adultery. And every time you have a soul tie that's unauthorized or unsanctioned, then you committed spiritual adultery, when your primary purpose is to be married to Christ. So I applaud you for really being able to have that platform. That's courageous. It takes courage.
Listen, it does. And I really went back and forth, and then I'm like, I want to do it. And I didn't even let my pastors know, but they were like, they were all on board with it afterwards. But you know, it also came from irritation. Because when you would tell people, they'll be like, why are you doing that? Or, you're never going to find a black man or a man. They'll say a man, then they'll say a black man that's going to. And I'm just like, this is the way the world thinks. It's so perverted now that you think that this is not attainable. And it is.
And it is. Another thing that I really like about the platform that you created with Sexless in the City is that it works for believers.
Right.
Because too often you find yourself as a believer in situations where it seems like, okay, God, I know that I'm not necessarily walking the walk that you would have me walk. Yeah. So how can I come to a more godly relationship with you in intimacy? And really be strong enough to say, okay, I'm going to be celibate until I'm married, instead of saying, God, I love you and I'm in the church, but then all of a sudden, I love God, I'm in the church, and you pop up and you got a seed growing in your womb, and one of these things is not like the other, you know. Not to say that that's you saying anything bad about a person's character, but it's encouraging a return back to Christ. And so I love the fact that you've done it in a way that not just only attracts millennials, but it encourages a curtailment of promiscuity, a curtailment of fornication, and really allows you to stand on your biblical understanding of what you're supposed to be doing in Christ.
Right. And you know, the testimonies, because you're never sure, like you walk out on faith, but you're never sure, like, am I doing the right thing, you know? Right. But I received so many testimonies, and one of them a girl was saying that she kicked out her live-in boyfriend and was like, don't come back till you have a ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's really like transforming lives, and giving people that boost up encouragement, like, you know, you can do this, and you have a whole, like you said, community backing you up. You're not alone.
That's the thing. When people feel isolated, they shut
Right.
down. Oh my goodness, it leads to all kinds of, because then you get in your own head about,
Right.
was I right? Should I have done this? But really,
And that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to feel
Yes.
isolated and confused, and you know, like you don't, like you can't, you know, you have nobody to depend on. But I really think that, you know, it's really a subject that we don't really talk about enough in the church.
yes.
And it's almost one of those things where it's like, I can worship the Lord, I can pray, you know, and I can preach, but when it comes to sex, like, you know, that's my 20% that I'm going to keep. It almost seems that way now, and I just feel like, and this is not to condemn anybody, but I feel like we should set the standard, especially as believers.
Yes.
You know, if we're going to do this thing, then do it for real.
Full throttle.
Right.
Full throttle. I applaud you again for really being able to step out on that platform and to rally together a community of celibate believers. And so that actually, when I saw the book title,
Yeah.
and then I saw the book cover, I said, oh my. Look at Kia go. You know, the feminist part of me is like, go, Kia, go. And then, right, the minister is like, oh, Kia, wait a minute. But then you paired it with the commercial, with your advertising commercial that demonstrated why you're, what that means, naked and unafraid.
Right.
Naked and unafraid?
Not ashamed.
I'm sorry, naked and not ashamed. So tell us about it.
Yeah, and I went back and forth with the book cover because initially, and I'm not really naked. Let's just get that out there.
She's not naked. She's
I'm not really naked in there. Spoiler alert. But I mean, you know, there is the spiritual side, but and we're also creative beings.
Yes.
And then if you're trying to create a story and really demonstrate something, right, and do it in a tasteful way, and so I had to kind of go back and forth with that, like, how can I do this? You know, demonstrate freedom and not and being naked, not ashamed, without really being naked, but then being tasteful.
Yes.
And so that, to me, the cover, it was a little risk, but it was one that I was willing to take because that cover, the book is for everyone, but I really wanted to target those who are kind of wavering in their faith or who are not believers.
Yeah.
And so if if I'm up there in a collar, you know, with a turtleneck all the way up to my neck and stuff, that's not going to, first of all, demonstrate freedom of being naked and not ashamed. And is to the non-believer, and that's not going to seem like a book that they would want to read.
Right.
So I wanted to, it was all purposeful to kind of attract and also demonstrate, like, freedom. I'm free, I'm happy, I'm kind of like in the Garden of Eden with flowers around me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not, like, I don't look like a Playboy pinup.
So very tasteful,
Yeah.
tasteful. And the supplement, like I said, the supplement was really good. And so it took, because without reading it, I said, what is Kia up to? Wait a minute, stop. Really, that's what it's supposed to do. I said, what is Kia up to? Let me,
like, hold
wait
up.
a minute.
What is this picture? And
What is this picture? What is it about?
Right.
So that was a really clever way for marketing for you. That was smart, but also because that's not the modern church.
right.
The modern church is not, I mean, of course we are women of taste, but we are also people who are walking in the creative genius that with which we were created. So a way to really demonstrate that. And plus, when you went to Henrico, were you in CFA?
I was. Yeah.
Well, guys,
I was in dance.
she was in the Center for the Arts at Henrico
Right.
High School, so she's naturally a creative being.
And a writer too. So it's
Yes.
like, and I mean, everything I do is inspired by God.
Mm-hmm.
So trust me and believe. I was a little nerve wracked by this.
Yeah.
But I have my group of people
That's
that
right.
hold me accountable, and they were like, "No, do it." Like,
Do it.
yeah. So
yes, that was really the best image for your piece.
Mhm.
Because now when I think of the title, then I'm like, it wouldn't make sense to be any other way.
Right, like how, and that was so hard to do because I'm like, how do I do this and be tasteful? Like, I'm not about to sit up there with fig leaves, with some fig leaves in a bikini or something. Ain't nobody gonna care about sitting there. Ain't nobody. They're gonna miss the message.
They're gonna miss the message.
And I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, that was the best solution to me. And I'm smiling. I ain't up there like.
Mm-hmm. You are. You're smiling. That's good stuff. Good stuff. So when is the official? So we can pre-order the book now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the price on the book now?
So it retails for $15.99. And you can get it from my website. There's a link to Barnes & Noble's there. IamKiaPotts.com/new book. And so when you go to the site, you'll see, like, if you pre-order, you get all these pre-order gifts. So you want to go to my site, read the directions, order the book, go back, and then you'll get, like, your free gifts and stuff. So.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So go to Barnes & Noble or order through your site.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you read the instructions. Listen, I know we don't like to read the instructions.
Yeah, so what you should do is go to my site first, and then there's a little button, and it's going to link you to Barnes & Noble's. And yeah, just read directions, y'all.
Go to IamKiaPotts.com/new book.
Yeah.
That's right. IamKiaPotts.com/new book. Read the instructions. Read the instructions. Saints. And then, I'm a teacher. So this is critical. Listen, everybody wants to remember when the instructions. That's right. Remember when we had VCRs when they were real big, and why everybody's VCR always flashed 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was real easy to program it because we didn't read the instructions. And then we sat around and got mad at the VCR because VCR didn't show analog time, didn't show digital time. Don't get mad if you don't get your free gift because you didn't read the instructions.
Reading is fundamental.
Fundamental. First three letters though, I love to say it. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. All right, Kia. So I have just a few more questions to ask of you. When you think about the work that you've done in your young life, what is one thing about which you are most proud that you've accomplished?
I would say really it would have to be Evolve Ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, you know, wow. I'm still like humbled because I was not the type to do public speaking and all of this, and it's like God is just amazing. And I guess it's not really a thing I accomplished. I just said yes, and He did the rest. So
yes.
surrendering, being able to surrender.
Yes.
If you want to sum it up that way. Just saying, here's my life.
That's awesome.
You know, and that was so. Now I look back, like I've always been the type to control and plan. I'm gonna be married at this age. I'm gonna have a baby at this age. I'm gonna do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like,
to surrender your plans.
Yeah.
To your will, surrender your will.
My will, yeah.
To coincide with His will for your life. So when you're thinking about it, what is one thing that you hope to achieve in the span of the decades of life, the many decades that you have left?
I really want to really blaze the trail and just change, just change my family history and just have something to leave my children's children. So that they don't have to worry about the things like money, money won't be an issue, They will have everything they need, and just really just build this, just set that foundation, and just leave a legacy where it's like it will affect generations and generations and generations. And that's what, that's what I'm trying to do, really just change and shift and break generational curses and all that.
Yeah, that's good. So how much time, when you're thinking about the concept of time, when people think about something that they really want to do, at which they want to excel, my husband, shout out to my husband behind the camera, the creative mind behind Business Acumen with Cross Cultural Talks, David, love you.
Aww.
He is, I love him. He is one of the greatest gifts God could have ever given me. But
So sweet.
thank you, but this is yours, this is not about me.
It's okay.
One of the things that, because I always say, I don't necessarily quote this guy, Kevin Hart a lot. And David always says, Robinette, yes, you do. So I like Kevin Hart. And I quote him, especially when he gets ready for a show, he always has this thing that he says, everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put in the work. Everybody wants to be famous. It's a chant that he does with his team. And so when people think about them wanting to achieve generational wealth, or attain generational wealth, wanting to really hone their craft and work, wanting to be a Zumba instructor, wanting to write a book that took 4 years for you to listen to the call of God and then be able to go through the walk and then be able to manifest it, to have a publishing company. People will see it. They see the end result. But what did you have to put in order to get that end result?
Oh my. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
A lot of sacrifice. Like I said, I never thought, I love my life, but this is not how I thought it would be right now.
Right.
I'm 30-something, and, and I'm single.
You're
and I don't have
in leap
kids.
year, though. In leap year,
Yeah,
you're
right,
5.
Right. And I'm single and I don't have kids. And I look at that and I see, like, when I was in my 20s and how I wanted my life, and I realized, like, God is showing me, if I had my life the way I wanted it, there was no way I can do it. There's no way.
Right.
There's no way I could do all this.
Right.
So, a lot of sacrificing, a lot of work.
A lot of work.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Literally.
A lot of tears, okay? I'm not going to sit
Literally.
here and say everything was rosy and peachy. A lot of tears, a lot of self-work as far as believing in myself and saying you can do this, and, praying, fasting. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of praying. It took a lot of initially, the first part was me growing spiritually.
Right.
And that in itself, it just didn't fall in my lap.
Right.
We had to read. I had to cut out the TV.
Yeah.
There was a season where I didn't listen to any secular music. There was a season where I was in church 5-7 days a week. So it was a lot of sacrifice.
Loss of sleep at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not too much though, because listen, I need my sleep.
Yeah, they just
But a lot of money.
Really making the sacrifice. So just adding to that, so you had to pour financially into the vision that God had for you. You had to hone your craft, so you had to study. You physically had to work, because I remember when you celebrated your certification. You had to give
That
time.
was years ago. You got a good memory.
Well, I try to keep it in my memory, but you sacrifice time. Sometimes you have to sacrifice relationships or degrees of relationships. When you decide you're going to take a walk with God, a lot of that has to fade away.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, a lot of the relationships that I had in college, kind of like, we grew apart, because now, like, some of the things I used to do, I don't desire to do anymore. And so that puts a wedge in a relationship. And that doesn't mean, you know, I don't love them anymore. It's just that the relationship is different now. It's different now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's hard.
That is hard.
Especially,
especially when they've been there for you through hard times, and it's kind of like, well, how do I fit in? Because I can't meet you at happy hour, and can't go clubbing with you, so you know, so
Sometimes the walk can seem a little. Sometimes it seems like it's isolated or isolating, but it's not, because you come into a completely different understanding of God and what He has for you and what you're capable of doing.
And even with that, though, I must say that everyone, whether we been in touch lately or we haven't talked in a while, they're very supportive.
Yes.
So even though we're not like as close as we used to be, they're still very supportive.
Oh yeah, I think that no matter what, you'll have people who understand.
Mm-hmm.
You understand, because it's not like you fell by the wayside and you just drifted off and did something.
Right.
You know,
right.
you are constantly producing, and sometimes you have to focus on that calling and really harness your gifts and cultivate them in a way that other people can't do. So when you've grown beyond what they're able to do, then they can champion you and support you along the way. And that's really the making of good, strong friendships, no matter how long you've been apart, that you can just pick right back up where you left off.
Absolutely. I agree.
So did you have anything else that you wanted to share with the people? I know you have a birthday party.
Yeah, so I have the party of the year. Yes, that's what it's called. And that is today. It is basically, it's my birthday party / book release party. It's going to be lots of fun. We have 2 comedians. I'll be signing some books. We're going to have line dancing, just good, clean fun. And there's going to be food there too.
Of course.
Food. Yeah, you gotta have food.
You must.
Yes.
You must. So for food, fun, book signing, and celebration with Kia Potts to celebrate her birthday. She's 5 years old, y'all. To come and celebrate her.
And the book release.
To celebrate the book release. So if people are trying to reach you, to contact you via social media or to connect with you, please let everybody know your platforms.
Okay, so all of my social media handles are at I am Kia Potts. Facebook, you can find me, my personal page, Kia Potts. And then on my business page, it's just Coach Kia. And my website, IamKiaPotts.com. So those are all my handles for Twitter, Instagram. Instagram and Facebook is really what I can keep up with.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, but the primary ways to contact you are Facebook and through your website.
Through my website, but Facebook and Instagram.
You've heard it here. Please make sure that you connect with Kia. She is a wonderful spirit, so you just want to be able to kind of get some of that oil, because the oil runs down. So you want to just tap into her anointing. Truly, Kia, I thank you again for joining us on this segment.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It's so good to see you again.
You too.
Thank you. Guys, be sure to tune in this time next week, 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another segment of Business Acumen with Cross Cultural Talks. I am your host, Robinette Cross. Don't forget to go and be great on purpose. God bless you.